Hello everyone and welcome to Blogger Everything and welcome back to the channel. And what did we just witness? 7 goals to 2 for Barcelona as they absolutely destroyed Newcastle United in what was, I should admit, something that we can stereotypically describe as a game of two halves. First half, not going to lie, it had me gripping my anxiety drink the entire time I was watching that first half, because guess what? Whenever Barca would score and I would get relaxed, I would suddenly see Anthony Elanga at the back post and marked, and guess what? He would score. That's what happened for both of his goals. And I know some people might say, well, Newcastle United could have scored more goals here. Barcelona kind of got lucky with that, but hey, what I saw from that first half as well, Barca should have been up by more than one goal. Of course, the late penalty in the first half coming, once again converted by Lamine, who, they said he doesn't score against Premier League teams. Now he has 2 in his last 2 against Premier League teams. But I guess now they're going to be saying, well, that's the 9th placed team in the Premier League. The same one that destroyed Chelsea, by the way. So, a lot of nonsense is going to be spoken. A lot of nonsense is going to be said by Premier League fans. But I think what's important here is to look at that performance, especially in that second half, and just be happy with it. And just say, hey, we actually did that with no Alejandro Balde, with no Jules Koundé, and with, a misfiring Robert Lewandowski. So I'm kind of happy with what I saw. Oh, by the way, we don't have Frankie de Jong either. So, 3 very big pieces for Barcelona unavailable, but despite that, Barcelona getting the win, getting the job done, and into the quarterfinals they go. So what more is there for you to say? I mean, we can talk about some of, I would say, the guts that we saw from Barcelona players. Okay, I'm talking about the likes of Bernal, who were able to step up in a big way for Barcelona. Him opening the scoring, or rather him putting Barcelona back in the lead, after Raphinha opened the scoring. And Raphinha as well, of course, after so much criticism has come his way from both Barca fans and rival fans, the past 2 matches has now scored 4 goals and assisted 2. So, he's picking up form at the perfect moment, honestly, if you're Barcelona, because Yamal is starting to look like, he's phasing out of his purple patch in front of goal and is phasing into his purple patch with assists, because, that pass to set up Robert Lewandowski, absolutely wonderful. But having said that, I do have just one criticism of him, and that's just with the way that he wasn't able to cope with Lewis Hall defensively, if you get what I mean. Like, Lewis Hall was overlapping so much in this. I think he got both of the assists for Newcastle United. Correct me if I'm wrong. If not, then, he definitely played a huge part in creating both of those goals. And both times, he kind of got the better of Yamal in those transition moments, or in those, just him bombing down the pitch and Yamal not really helping out Eric Garcia, who got hooked off pretty early on. I hope it's not an injury. I hope it's just because he was having a torrid time. I'd much rather deal with that than have Eric Garcia out injured, because he's just one of those guys who, if Barcelona are going to do anything this season, they're going to need guys like Eric Garcia on the pitch. So who else is there? We could say it was a bit of a quiet performance from Pedri, especially in that first half, But I have to say, the Newcastle United midfield today, especially in that second half, was just absolutely dominated by Barcelona, and in particular by Fermin Lopez. You know what I always call this guy? Fermin, press a ninja and take a shot Lopez. And if there's 2 things he did today, it was press people, it was take shots, and he got a goal and an assist today as well. I mean, it's so many guys who got an assist or goal and an assist because, hey, 7 goals were scored. There was a lot of goal scoring going around. 9 goals in total in the match. You do kind of wish Barcelona would concede a little less, especially with the way that they did actually concede those 2 goals. It left much to be desired. When it's one thing if somebody plays, a pass into your box and it's tapped in by somebody at the front post. You know what I mean? Because that just means, oh, those guys had a very good striker on their side who's good at anticipating where the ball is going to be, who's good at getting in front of his defender and tapping in. But when the tapping is coming at the back post, where there's literally nobody there, it's kind of worrying. You don't want to be conceding those kinds of goals. But then again, when you have Cancelo on the pitch, that's kind of what you accept, because you know that offensively he'll give you so much, and defensively he's also going to give you that. He's going to give you moments where the guy at the back post is not marked and he has a tap in. And unfortunately today, Cancelo wasn't really at it. I would say both of these matches against Newcastle United, going forwards, Cancelo hasn't really looked, the way he did against Sevilla just on the weekend, or the way he did even in the match before Sevilla. He didn't look as decisive, incisive, creative, whichever one of the ifs you might want to use. He didn't look that way this time around. And that's probably something you're going to be mindful of, knowing that, he has to deal with probably Atletico de Madrid in the next round. I don't know what they're doing right now against Tottenham. I know they will go down. I don't know how things are going now. But should Atleti make it into the next round, then you have to think about that matchup between Simeone and Cancelo. And guys, you've seen how badly Balde does against Simeone. I don't really have that much confidence that Cancelo could do much better. So hopefully he's just going to at least have his offensive output in those matches, whoever Barcelona gets in the quarterfinal. Let's be fair to Tottenham. Okay, I know that by and large Premier League teams have conceded like 25 goals in the Champions League round of 16 so far, and have only answered back with 7. Okay, I know that against La Liga teams so far, the 3 matches we've seen, a Premier League team, one playing, one being a top Premier League team playing against Real Madrid, another one being a mid-table Premier League team playing against Barcelona, and the other one being, of course, a relegation-threatened Premier League team playing against Atleti. And in each case, we've seen them concede at least 5. So, I think it gives us a good measure of the Premier League strength top to down. Because, you've got the number 2 team, you've got the number 9 team, you've got the number, 16 team. I think that's a nice even spread. We won't talk about teams like Chelsea as well getting demolished 8-2 and whatnot. No, because we're speaking specifically here about La Liga and how it's doing against the Premier League. And I mean, when you saw some of these draws, you knew that, hey, if the La Liga teams don't get the upper hand here, we're going to hear a lot of chat from Premier League fans. Because you all know they like to use, you couldn't be able to do that in the Premier League type of arguments when they look at stats for players like Yamal, like Mbappe, like, name who you want to. Raphinha, name whoever you want to once they see those stats. But, it's something else when the matches have to actually be played. And in the case of Barcelona, it's a complete blowout of Newcastle United. Sure, Newcastle United looked better last week. They were at their home with their home fans. Now it was Barcelona's turn to be at their home with their home fans. In fact, if we count the match Barca played against Newcastle in the group phase as well, Barca has now scored 10 goals against Newcastle in 3 matches. Show me one other Premier League team that's done that, one that's scored 7 goals against this very same Newcastle United. I don't think you can. Anywho, that's all for now, guys. Let me see what happens the rest of these Champions League matches, even though I think most of them are already settled. It's just Liverpool and Galatasaray we're looking at, really. I know Szoboszlai has scored, and poor guy, he doesn't deserve the season he's experiencing with Liverpool, considering how he's performing. You'd like to think, I wonder what he would be like in a team like Bayern, in a team like, dare I say, Real Madrid, Anywho, let me know your thoughts on the performance from Barca on the match. Aside from that, I thank you all for tuning in. Have a great day, and Forza Barca.